I got three names. I got Jose, Antonio, that's where the Tony comes from, Manuel, and then my last name is Lugo, and then my mom's last name is Sotomayor. In Latin culture, we usually use both last names, the father last name and the mother last name. So yeah, so that is my real name, Jose Antonio Manuel Lugo Sotomayor. In 99 came Panama City, but I already saw the video in 97, the 97 show of Kona, and that's what really got me into it. When I saw actually it was Bob Jordan's story, whose wife is doing the race with us, Terry. So I saw the story of Bob and the Emily story and doing it for Emily and everything else, and I saw the show and I videotaped it. And I watched that thing every day until I became an Ironman, because I wanted to be called that. I didn't know who called it, but I just wanted to be called that. And I taped it and I watched it every day. And then Panama City came about, and I didn't have a bike though when I got into Panama City, because it was a year previous to 99, and that's the year that I started training with my friend for his Claremont. So I bought the bike and everything else. I started learning how to swim. When I went into the pool for the first time, I couldn't go 50 meters. I couldn't go the whole length of a pool. So yeah, and I got to do 4,000 of these. So I started going to the pool a lot. So I went to the pool a lot, and because I figured I got the marathon thing covered. I already done 7 of these. So I figured the bike, you just get a bike, you buy a bike, you get on the bike, and then you ride a bike. But you got to learn how to swim, So yeah, and so I learned how to swim, and I got in 1999. That was my first ever Ironman. Right after I finished my Panama City thing, I thought I got to qualify for Kona because Kona, blah blah blah. So I've been waiting. Now it's going to be 25 years, and I'm going to Kona in 2024 because of my legacy. Back then, it was maybe 5 of us that have done Ironman. And back then, and by 2000, I took 12 people to Panama City in 2000. And then now I don't even know how many people there are Ironman in the island. But yeah, it was a trend that started the whole thing. One time I was talking to my dad. My dad was, he died, it was like 93. He was maybe 91. He was he was up there, right? So I'm coming back from one of my events. Everything was pulled by the list in Uruguay or something. And I went to see him. It's like, how you doing? And he's like that. He's like, oh, so what were you? He's like, I said, well, I was, I had to repeat myself many times. I was, doing this thing of the announcing, the microphone and this and that. He's like, oh. And I never knew this about my dad. He's like, I used to sell cows and horses on the radio. And I'm like, what? My dad was born in 1925. So this is when he's 18 years old. So this is in the 40s, right? So he was an announcer in radio when he was in college in Puerto Rico, and he was selling cows, and he was selling horses, and he was selling plantains and coffee and all that. And I never knew this. That's where I got my voice. You inherit the voice. So my voice is inherited from my dad, and I never knew that he did that in radio until I was already working as an announcer. So it goes to show you, what it is, your destiny. It is your destiny, And I never knew that I was going to announce. I started announcing, maybe 20 years ago in the 2000s by accident. I went to a cycling race, and the organizer, he was from Argentina. He didn't know any English, and it was an international race. So he had to give some instructions in English. And he was a good friend of mine. He was a triathlete and this and that. And I was next to him at this time, and he needed to give the instructions in English. And I'm like, all right. So, if another, whatever it is, I can say it. So I got the microphone, and I said whatever he said, he needed me to say, right? And so I just kept the microphone in my hand, right? And it was kind of like a crit cycling race. So you go around many times, right? It was like 60 laps. And it was just, it was just boring because they was just, they were just cruising, there was no intermediate sprints or anything. So I said to Fernando, can I just, do a little something here, right? One of the teams that was racing, they were inaugural race the following weekend. It was called the Bayamon Grand Prix, and I'm still announcing that race. It's been 20 some years. I'm still announcing that race. And they goes like, hey, why don't you come with us next weekend? And, just do the same thing. We'll put a case of beer. We'll give you a microphone. And you just, call the race for, a couple of hours. And, we just hang out. I said, all right, man, for a case of beer, I'll go the whole weekend. I'm like, and that's how I started. The organizers, they had a Panama race, and they really needed somebody who speaks Spanish in Panama. So I went with my compadre, Mr. Dave Roxdale over there. And from then on, that's why I'm talking to you right now. I guess that's how we got here, But I'll tell you what, I'm doing Coeur d'Alene, and not only because I need to validate for Kona, because I got to do an event. It doesn't have to be a full. But if I'm going to do something, I might as well do it. So I got to validate. And the thing is, in 2011, that's when I met my friend Dave Downey. And that's, Dave and Mel, this is what Dave and Mel used to, do all the work. Those guys are great. I love them. So, I got to be there for David's first full.